Hey everybody, my name is Anthony, and in this video I'm going to be doing something a little different from what I've done before. And basically I'm going to be going through all 21 tracks on the calendar and just doing a small session. I think this one was about an hour, so I don't think every session that I do for each track will be an hour, but I'll do a small session on time trials and maybe even in some cases show clips of me actually doing some laps in an actual race. And it's basically my point of view as an average player. I consider myself an average player now. Just how I would go about driving each and every track. So maybe if you guys who are quicker than me, if you ever watch these videos, maybe you could give me some point of views of maybe where I could make up time and what I'm doing wrong in certain corners. And for those of you who are slower than me, or maybe you guys can see from my driving where you can make up time, because I do feel as a sort of average player, I'm in that sweet spot where I can still learn a lot from players faster, and I can still teach from those who are slower. So yeah, pretty much coming into it, the first lap that we did, it was going really well. As you've seen, I was up on the delta, but I ended up spinning out. And one thing that I wanted to mention just quickly is this series is not about the quickest lap that I can do. It's more say about the cleanest lap that I can do, because the reason why I'm deciding to go with cleanest rather than quickest is because, you know, if you're in a race, as we invalidate that one, if we're in a race, yeah, sure, you're gonna obviously want to be quicker than everybody else. But at the same time, you're going to want to make sure that you're consistent, and the best way to be consistent is to do cleaner laps rather than, you know, just pushing all out all the time. As even though I invalidated that lap, I decided to keep going, and we ended up getting a 20.6. So I did kind of want to push for a fastest lap just in this case, because I knew that I could get a fastest lap. And I think last week, at the time of recording this, I'm recording this on Thursday the 2nd. Actually, I wanted to quickly mention this. I really didn't plan this commentary at all, but the reason why I spun out at this corner, and the reason why I continued to spin out at this corner, is because I just a little bit rolled over the curb, and I was also applying full throttle, which caused a lot of wheel spin. Maybe you guys who have been playing longer than me can correct me if I'm wrong there, but that's pretty much why I kept spinning out there. But getting back to what I was saying, basically, when it comes to this series, I just want it to be the cleanest lap, so that, you know, for those of you who are still new to the game, because I'm pretty new to the game myself, you know, it's better to be consistent than to be super quick off the bat, because you can always just find little ways to make up time later on down the line. You just really want to be consistent rather than quick, because that's the way that I tried to be, especially when I first started playing the game. And honestly, my driving was really suffering because of it. I tried to be as quick as I can. I spent all my time in time trials. I wasn't actually doing any racing, and even though I was getting quick times for myself at the time, you know, it took me like 16 laps to get that quick time. And each and every other time I was spinning out every other time, and it was just a lucky lap basically, and I didn't actually know how I could replicate that that lap that I just did that was quick. And I think that's the main thing that you really want to do, and I'm hoping that that's the main thing that you can take away from this series of videos, is understanding how you can replicate a lap so that you can slowly increase your pace. Sorry about that. So you could slowly increase your pace. And I think I ended up zooming in here, because one little tip, especially on this track, that you want to do is, for some of the curbs, you want to just sort of ride on it slightly. So you want to put 2 tires on it, because I noticed that gets me a lot of time, especially on that turn right after the second DRS. No, it would be the third DRS zone. So the one that we're actually approaching right now. I noticed that when you just sort of clip the curb as you're going past, you gain a lot of time there. So some of the curbs are like that, and then others you're gonna spin out pretty much like the chicane. I think it's just because of the speed that you're going into the chicane at, though. You don't really want to clip that curb too much, like this one right here and this one right here. You don't want to clip it too much, or else you're gonna basically spin out like how I just spun out there. But yeah, you know, I'd rather be consistent. I know I keep repeating myself, but I'd rather you guys, and obviously myself, as I have a little montage here of me crashing out, I'd rather you be consistent, and the best way to be consistent is to replicate what you did before, and the best way to replicate what you've done before is to understand what you did before. So that's basically the main point of this series. And coming into this lap, this was, I want to say this was the best lap that I had before my quickest time. I don't think I ended up getting the quickest time here, but it was a really good lap. I could have basically turned in on that corner slightly more. I went a bit too wide there and lost a bit of time. So that's one thing, that if you're driving on Australia, for that turn, I think that's turn 4. I want to say that's turn 4. You really want to sort of clip the curb, just like this one, for example. I know I keep repeating myself, and this commentary is sort of like mumbly, but I didn't really plan what I wanted to say, especially in this one. So yeah, I've just really trying to think on the spot as time goes on. But as we come to the end of the lap now, I want to say, to be honest, that you should go into 6th gear coming into that last little few turns, because in 5th gear I felt as if the car was going to spin out, and I ended up getting, I think this is a 20.9, as yeah, this is pretty much me just getting distracted. I think I was eating at the time, and I ended up being like 14 minutes slower than usual, obviously because I wasn't driving. But that last sector, you want to be in 6th gear as we come into, I think this was the quickest lap actually. So yeah, I'm going to sort of talk about what I was thinking going into it. So obviously you want to open DRS as soon as possible, and coming into this first corner, I usually brake at the 100 meter mark, and I go into 5th usually. Actually no, that wasn't the fastest lap, but usually I go into 5th going into that, and I sort of slightly cut the corner because, you know, with track limits on this game, you can cut certain corners and you can't cut other ones here. But I think this is the fastest lap now actually. So yeah, so I go into 5th gear, and then I use all the track that I can on exit. And this corner I like to go into 8th gear, some people like to go into 7th and then brake into 2nd, and really hug this corner here as tight as you can, because that's how you're going to get the quickest time. And you know, you can go that corner flat out. And then this one, I go into 4th and I sort of just clip the curb. You can sort of cut it, but I feel as if you clip it and then ride the exit on the other exit curb, then you can really gain some time there. I may be wrong, but yeah, coming into this sort of like straight coming up to the chicane, this chicane just puzzled me all the time, but I think I know why, and I think it's because I clipped onto the curb there, whereas that time, as you can see, I didn't fully clip onto the curb and I didn't spin out there. So that's probably the main reason why you're spinning out, if you're spinning out there. This corner, as you can see, I didn't really clip onto the curb fully there. I could have gained an extra 10th or so just by clipping onto that curb. You'd really be surprised, and you can gain even another 10th if you really just hug that corner as well, instead of going out as wide as I did. But either way, I managed to improve my PB by a 10th, and I got a 20.6 there. So coming into this lap, this is actually a lap that I got today, because that recording session I did was yesterday. I actually ended up getting a 20.5 on this one, but I want to show you the difference as to what I'm going to be doing with this series, because this lap was faster, but it was a lot scruffier, and I'd rather you base your laps and try to replicate the clean one. Because, for example, if you were doing what I was doing in this lap in an actual race, you're much more likely to spin out. And obviously in time trial, you can spin out and then you could just restart the lap and, you know, you're good to go. But in a race, as soon as you spin out, as soon as you you know, break off that front wing, that's basically your race over. So I'm gonna end it off there. If you liked this video, even though I was basically just mumbling for like 10 minutes, then hit the like button and subscribe. I'm gonna be posting more of these as well as my career mode, and if you guys maybe like Need for Speed, I'm posting a no commentary let's play of Need for Speed. So if you like any of those, if that's your cup of tea, then definitely subscribe because I've got a ton of more videos coming, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.